guys, you ready for another Dead or Alive? Here's one. Dead or Alive, Odysseus. Oh, a technicality. He was never alive, says Sabine. Odysseus. We're talking about the Odyssey, the Christopher Nolan movie that has generated much complaint and unhappiness among maggots.
Well, among Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk says, never fear, he's going to do a version of the Odyssey.
Elon Musk says it's not historically factual.
This is a Greek woman speaking, so pay attention, everyone.
I mean, does he really believe these monsters existed and the gods of...
There aren't cyclops? There aren't sirens? What?
I mean, when I heard him say it's not historically accurate, I go, this shows their ignorance.
Who has seen the movie? Raise your hand. Oh, no, you have to all see it. This is your assignment.
I'm going to see it tomorrow night.
And it is worth seeing in IMAX.
I want to go to New York
Yeah, we're going to
City and see
IMAX.
it on
The IMAX, the big screen. Jay, you saw it on IMAX.
I did see it in IMAX. I have never been to an IMAX theater, and this was my first IMAX movie. My wife did not want to see it. She said she just didn't really have any interest in the movie, so I went to Crosscase. 3 seats left the day I went, and it was a lot of young people in there. It was very cool to see. And the only seat they had, she had like 3 seats. One was way over here, one was way over here, and one was kind of almost to the center, top row. And she said, actually, people have sat there and they've come back and told me they enjoyed it. It was perfect. I was able to put my feet up on the rail, which was divided from the rest of the audience, and it was just enough. I felt every rumbling, every wave, everything. And it was spectacular. I have issues with it, but we can get into that.
We went to see it, and when we came out, young people were coming. It was also very full, and people came flooding out of the theater. People who I teach in school, young people, and they were yelling, "Odysseus!" Book sales are soaring for the Odyssey and the Iliad, and I think it's an amazing movie. It's totally fun and action-packed, and the criticism has been interesting. The number one criticism is that Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman in the world, the excuse, if not the real reason for the war, is played in this movie by, oh my God, a black woman, DEI. Ridiculous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, a beautiful woman, yes. Other criticisms are that the gods do not appear. This is a movie about, the humans moved by powerless in the face of the gods. And the gods are mostly removed from the movie, with the exception of there's sort of an Athena-like figure who turns out actually to be kind of a ghost haunting the guilty, PTSD-stricken Odysseus. And in the original, in Homer, which was... it was written at a time when violence was kind of cool. We liked violence. He didn't have PTSD. He did not suffer over his thoughts on what he did. But in the movie, Matt Damon is playing Odysseus, and he sees this woman who is tortured and killed in Troy as a result of his thought, which was the Trojan horse. And the Trojan horse goes in and so the Greeks get inside Troy after a 10-year stalemate, and they ransack and rape and pillage, and this young girl is affected. So she turns into Athena, kind of like his conscience. So it is absolutely. And the other big complaint is the stars do not speak with a British accent, which is not Greek either. Explain that to me. But they have an American accent, and then the speech is anachronistic. Telemachus calls his parents, Odysseus and Penelope, mom and dad. Probably the ancient Greeks didn't use those terms. Probably did. But they probably didn't speak any English at all, which most of the movie is in English. Yeah. So these seem minor things to me when... it's incredible action-packed series and scenery, and the psychology is really good too. The cruelty of Cyclops. He is an enemy, but how cruel are you to an enemy? That seems to resonate with me. I loved the scene where the Greeks, Menelaus calls this, you may have heard about the Trojan horse, but you never got the inside story. And then he talks about being inside that Trojan horse, waiting to be dragged, filled with Greek soldiers being pulled into the gates of Troy, where they then explode and take over. And it's filled with shit, with excrement, because what are you going to do? And it's claustrophobic, and it's dirty, and it's reeking, and you're in there waiting to go out and slaughter people. That was amazingly powerful statement about war. Yeah, the Trojans were pushing swords in to see if there was anything inside, and you're narrowly escaping death. It was, and Circe in this version, in Christopher Nolan's version, is not a witch, but a aggrieved feminist, basically. She's not hot for Odysseus as she is in the original. She's out to avenge women who are treated badly by men, and so she turns them all into pigs. And in the original, it's kind of a magic wand. It's instant. In this, she molds and sculpts them into pigs. Oh, it's a remarkable filmmaking.
Yeah.
So go ahead. What do you think?
Well, I really enjoyed the movie.
You did.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I wanted us to disagree, but he did.
No,
like
I'm
it
going to
too.
disagree. Don't worry. I was willing to suspend whatever my expectations were of what the movie should be, and just say I'm going along for the ride. And I went along for the ride, and it was great fun. And then afterward, I kind of reflected on it. I listened to all the, read various commentaries and criticisms and stuff. I thought the Elon Musk stuff was just a bunch of nonsense. Historically accurate. I think what he's saying, to be fair, this is my enduring flaw as a journalist, is I do want to be fair. What he meant, I do think what he meant was it wasn't faithful to the text, and she is referred to, at one point as white-armed Athena, white-armed Helen, or Helen of fair arms, or something like that. Oh, all right, so who cares? What I think was more, I'm sorry.
Fair arms could mean something else.
Could be.
I think that historically it meant someone who did
I think she said. I think white was the word that was used, at least in the translation. I read the Lattimore translation years ago. I think more substantively, and I think Maureen Dowd in her column got at what I would have gotten at, is there were two elements of this that were missing. One is the gods, other than this kind of
fake Athena.
hallucinatory Athena. First of all, it wasn't Athena that was following Odysseus around for most of it. I forgot this. It was Hermes. And constantly advising him on how to navigate the situations he was in.
Right.
The other thing is that other than the Cyclops, every challenge that Odysseus faces is a woman or female in some ways. Scylla, Charybdis, the whirlpool, the sirens,
Not Cyclops.
Nausicaa, other than Cyclops.
And the Iron Man.
Don't remember the Iron Man.
There's criticism because they look sort of like they're out of Star Wars rather than Homer.
Those I missed. Oh, I do know
Yeah.
what you're talking about, though. All right, most. Most of the adversaries, most of the challenges he faces are women or female characters. And I wrote a paper in college
Yeah.
on this very issue. I think it was like the last thing I wrote. And it was called "The Sex and the Odyssey," or "The Epic of Interruption," and it was all, and it was essentially about the relationships that were going on. And I was aware, even writing it then, that when you're a college student, you got to write a paper. You kind of take an idea and you run with it, and it's not necessarily what the author intended at all. But I do think that Homer was very aware of masculinity and how he defined it, how it was defined in that time.
He was the Hegseth of his time.
Yeah, kind of.
Take a testosterone test.
And when you look at even the phrasing that he's talking about, I forgot this phrase, but he was talking about Telemachus and the suitors and stuff, men such as men are now, which is not men such as Odysseus was. And Odysseus really was the last of them. When we see Menelaus, he's just a domestic, bitter man who's kind of pissed off about his wife,
Bickering
really
with his
pissed off
wife.
about his wife.
Domesticated.
Domesticated. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to-
And just reduced. I think he also knew he was used by Agamemnon, for a larger purpose, and they even allude to that this was really about trade routes and so forth. But so and ultimately, I think that he saw the relationship between Penelope and Odysseus as the ideal of a relationship between a man and a woman, and that Odysseus had to navigate all these false leads, and they never mentioned Nausicaa,
Right.
who was in that, and she really wanted to marry at least a man like Odysseus. This is a depth that I don't know that Nolan could have incorporated all that, as well as I
What
thought
he
the
did
masterful
incorporate.
thing in this
Yeah.
was the PTSD, the
Oh, yeah,
idea
yeah.
of carrying this guilt. I do think that Homer was aware of it.
Yeah. I do too.
Because when you see when the Iliad opens in literature, when the Odyssey opens in literature, the world is gone. The old world is gone, and Odysseus really is the only survivor. The war is over. The heroes are gone. Everyone's dead except for a few people like Menelaus.
And what have you accomplished?
And
Hey,
what
that's-
have you done?
that's true.
What have you done? And how are you going to recapture the glory once the glory is over?
I love that a piece of literature, almost 2,700 years old, and look at it has captured our young people. Those theaters are packed. Okay, I'm sorry. That's a big deal. That's a really big. Having taught in class, I can't get kids interested in anything, and he did it. So that says a whole lot right there.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I would say that's a small price to pay from inaccuracies. That I think it's a small price to pay to get them interested and to identify with it.
Okay, well, one thing that Maureen Dowd wrote in her column, which I'm assigning you as homework, you must look it up, is it's sexless. The Homer is pretty sexy. There's like great sex scenes all through his original poetry, which of course I've not read. You may have. I've only done it in translation, but it's gone in the movie, and it's cleaned up. Because he wants to make it's a movie, you only have, in this case, 3 hours. So he wanted to clean it up. He wanted to make Penelope and Odysseus a love story for the ages, which it was not. He was a pig. He was like sleeping with everybody. And Calypso, who is Charlize Theron, who anybody would sleep with, even women, it's almost platonic in it. Like she really loves him, and she's giving him Lotus. He didn't eat Lotus.
7 years, what must have happened.
Yeah, for 7 years he stayed there. Yeah, definitely.
Even though the notion of guilt 3,000 years ago, for a warrior,
Right.
to have guilt 3,000 years ago, to me is pretty amazing.
It is extraordinary, and what I thought it was more emasculation. He didn't go that far. Nolan didn't go that far with it, but I really thought that being with Calypso for 7 years, and he explains it as being in a lotus days, but in the warrior ethos sense of the word, I think he was thoroughly emasculated and had to reclaim that before he could come back to.
So I
Troy.
totally saw Hegseth in that whole part.
Yeah.
I was like saying, "Oh man, he would love this." Yeah, test your testosterone levels. Drop in there, Odysseus. We need war fighters.
We don't hear of anyone feeling guilty about killing other people.
No,
No.
In our culture.
And yet,
In modern, we have heroes, as they are, killing other people, but we don't have heroes coming back saying, I'm sorry I killed those people.
Well, I think that's what
But after
PTSD is.
Vietnam, there were a lot of
Right.
people.
no. We've been punished. We liberals have been punished for saying you were baby killers. They were
Right.
baby killers, may I say?
Right.
but all the PTSD, all the homeless
yeah,
street
those
people
stuff,
that are
yeah.
struggling on the street, they're dealing
Oh,
with
that's
that.
a good, that's a good point. It could be masking
And that's
guilt.
true
Right.
since the.
But we're not saying guilt.
As a society, we won't. No, we had a glorious war.
You're right.
Yeah.
I never
So
thought
a
of
slight
that.
divergence that you're bringing up here is, and Jay, I want you to talk about this because I know you posted on Facebook was really powerful. We had 4 more servicemen killed in this silly war in Iran, and they're not counted as war dead.
Terrible.
Women and people of color.
And we have even more than that they're not.
Yeah. Well, the wounded we're not focusing on the wounded at all, and there's a lot of very seriously wounded people, and they are not being counted at all.
Talk more about that.
We can't even get straight on the numbers. It's the number that I saw, and I was a little alarmed because I saw a number from the Defense Department that was quoted by, either the Washington Post or the New York Times of 200 and change. It was 500 so far. And you talk about a minor concussion. I mentioned this to my colleagues the other day when we were talking about an editorial on this. And I said, I've had a minor concussion. I was in a martial arts promotional exam, and I let my guard down for a second, and I got hit in the head, and I got half knocked out. I wasn't unconscious at any time, but I went down. I got back up, but I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And I went home. I laid on the bed on the couch for a while, and I finally called the doctor, and she took a look at me and she said, "You got a concussion." And it was minor as things went. I could function for the next few weeks, but it was 6 months of not bending over and lifting things and stuff like that. So the idea that they want to just brush this off.
And some of these people, from what I've heard, are being rushed back into battle
That's what
or
it is.
into active duty.
Just like
So even though they have not recovered, I mean, they're giving it's minor, you're back on
Yep.
active duty, and that's
And, it might have been during Trump 1.0 that there was an incident where some servicemen were hurt and their barracks had gotten bombed and some of them had traumatic head injuries. And I can remember when Trump referred to it as they had a few headaches.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just minimized it down to nothing.
Well, we could go back to COVID if you want to talk about minimizing impact. And that's what it's all about, is making him look good.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fewer casualties, the fewer deaths or our war deaths are, the least impactful his silly war has
It's
been.
getting very close to diarrhea there,
Yeah.
Real close to diarrhea with that comment.
Yeah.
But this is really the lie, though, of the support the troops stuff that he spews, and the
He does that. Suckers and losers.
suckers and losers.
Suckers
This
and
is
losers.
all how it reflects back on him, and taking these deaths off the official list is one of the most heinous things I've ever seen a president do. And somebody it was even a simple it was a more like-minded person said to me, well, he didn't do it. You really need to be going after the Pentagon. And it's like,
Oh, come on.
no, this is the Pentagon carrying his water.
because he
It's
wants
like
the
the
numbers
last 4
down.
people that died. They just removed them off of the rolls.
Yep.
Because we were
Because
during
it
a
was-
ceasefire.
Right, it was during the ceasefire, so they don't count. So they're not on
Yep.
the rolls of the casualties anymore.
Remember when he did not, again, COVID, he didn't want the cruise ship with the infected people to come back into port, because then his numbers would look bad.
Well, he didn't want tests done
Right.
because
Yeah,
the
'cause then you would
num-
find stuff
if,
out.
if we don't test, we won't have there won't be cases. No problem.
Well, he even had that big chart where he showed how many people were killed in each war, and he said, "And look at me,
Yeah.
just 14. That's it."
Right,
Oh my
I've
God.
done best.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a war.
Carolyn is former military, so you feel this personally, don't you?
I
Yeah.
do feel this personally. I feel I mean I am not. I was active duty. I retired from the military, but I was never in combat or anything. I was never. I was
As
a
is
desk
appropriate
jockey.
for women.
I was a
What's your
desk jockey.
testosterone level?
It is my desk. But no, I find it's shameful. It's
shameful.
disgraceful. It's horrible.
There's gonna be a long list of all his shameful shit. I mean, honestly, I sometimes find it frustrating to continue to, bullet point all of his disgusting, shameful, disgraceful behavior is horrific.
Even
He's
minimizing
as
the
bad as it
casualties.
gets.
I mean,
This is the most shocking experience any of us have ever gone through to see in our government. I was born in '64. I like the hippie stuff. I still dance to the Grateful Dead. I want that back, but it's not coming back.
Is that coming back?
How are we gonna live through this? We gotta keep on rocking. We have to keep
Yeah.
pushing
Yep.
through
We
this.
need marketing. We need marketing because they're using communism as the new
Oh,
word.
right.
We need
Yeah.
a new word for us that's not communism.
We need a lot more than just
Democratic
marketing, don't we?
socialist.
Well, no, we don't like that one either. That one's
Well,
also.
we shouldn't bend to them. It's
Right.
just, like,
Of
who
course.
cares what they think and
Right, but
make
we-
it right.
But we do need to market ourselves better. Democrats are horrible at marketing. They're
I-
Not just
horrible.
marketing, though,
I
they
came
bring a
up with- I
pea
came
shooter
up
to a
with a theme.
gunfight. They don't bring
No.
the fight.
No.
We're very peaceful. Are we all still dancing to the Grateful Dead?
No.
Where's the fight? Where's the fight?
All right,
You know, we do see.
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you at all. It has not. These fights don't go viral, but boy, there are some good fights going on in Congress right now. I posted one of Alana Presley.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
great.
Taking down Russell Vought, no less, the author of 2025, or at least the mastermind
One
of
of the
it.
major masterminds.
She tore him a new one, and unlike Pam Bondi and some of the he couldn't get a word in on her. It was inspiring to listen to her, and she was dead on. She hit him.
Sure,
She hit him
great.
perfectly every time.
Was that recently?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
very recently, in the past week, and she keeps saying, "Be quiet, I'm talking."
She said what?
Who do you
Still goes
work
back
for?
to the office.
Oh,
And
right,
he's
right,
president.
right, he's right.
What are we gonna
All right, I'm taking control again because I don't want to run out of time.
When did
We're
you lose
switching
control of this?
topics. No, they're dead or alive, okay? The Middle East. Is it dead or dying, or is it still alive? A nuclear weapon deal with Saudi Arabia. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my God.
Or do we have it? Because the next day, after you announced, he changed the rules.
Well, he changed his mind.
Oh, did he?
Wait,
Did he?
Yeah,
He
he
said
made
he's-
it. He made a deal that basically Saudi Arabia could work on nuclear reactors, and it's for electricity. Even
Nuclear
though,
enrichment.
yes, even though this stuff can easily be enriched a bit further and become
Well, wasn't
nuclear
this the whole
grade.
Iranian issue too, though?
Yeah, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, but we like Saudi Arabia. He likes them. They gave him a sword or something in his first term. So then the next day after this is announced, he goes, "Oh, and by the way, one other condition: you have to sign the Abraham Accords," which I so resent the round table, because when this first happened in his first term, they were all saying, "Well, you have to give him credit. You know, he really got a deal here. He made the relationships with Israel and some Arab countries really, it works." No, he went to countries that were trading with Israel. They did not offer anything new. They just made it formal. And now he's using it as, I don't know what he's using it as, proof that he's a great man
Can I ask
deserves
you
a Nobel Peace Prize.
What is the Abraham?
The Abraham Accords was an agreement in which several countries in the Middle East, it was the UAE and Bahrain, would formalized good relations with Israel. They ceded, Israel's right to exist. Yeah, we're going to get along with them. It normalized relations.
And when was this made?
During his first term, it was bartered by Jared, his son-in-law, and the idea was that this would lead to wider impact in the Arab world, and he was given a lot of credit for this. And I said at the
I
time,
think
this
this
is
coincided with
baloney.
his Board of Peace as well, which he is
Oh,
forever
the Board of
the head
Peace,
of.
yeah. Is that still around?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's not doing anything, but it's there.
Yeah, right. They're alive.
The Board of Peace, yeah. That's gonna, they're gonna turn Gaza into a resort city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought there was another point too, that right before the Hamas massacre, that Saudi Arabia was gonna also be part of that peace deal.
Right. Saudi Arabia has never agreed to it. And that's why it's threatening the deal over nuclear. Well, they don't want to say anything nice about Israel, particularly now when there's fighting in Lebanon, when the Iran war is involved. Israel is the enemy. Jordan, yeah, there were deaths in Jordan. The U.S. deaths were in Jordan.
I think the Saudi elite would do it. I don't think they believe that they could maintain control of the country if they do this.
Right.
The so-called Arab street just won't tolerate this, and there's only so much power they have. They have a lot of power, but
Right.
I think they realize that they'll have a revolution on their hands if they do it.
So Saudi Arabia is just one piece of this. The other is, I don't know, are we at war or not with Iran? What is,
We are.
we are at
Now
war?
we are again.
Are you sure?
We are.
Now we're supposed to.
As long as you don't use that word, it's fine.
We're at not war with Iran.
As long as we don't need
That's a good way of
congressional
putting it.
approval, we're good.
Oh my God.
We're actually headed for a two-front war if this keeps going. That the Houthis.
war?
A two-front war.
Two-front war.
That the Houthis are trying to block the Red Sea, and I think Trump is hoping the Saudis will take care of that. It's a big country. I mean, Saudi Arabia is huge, and Yemen is really small. But the Houthis are just a enduring insurgency. It is amazing, and they are. The ships are getting through, but that's for now. I think if Iran gives them any help, if Russia gives them any help, Russia's making plenty of money off this war. So why they wouldn't, smuggle drones or missiles or
Whatever they
surface,
need.
anything. I think they're perfectly happy to watch Trump squirm. So yeah, I think the war is still. It's just in a phase. It's not. It isn't over. I mean, he may like magically declare, as he wanted to magically declare COVID over. That once he signed the peace agreement, that was it. But
Well, Johnson says it's gonna be over quickly.
Yeah, okay. I
by
believe
Christmas,
that. Yeah.
wow.
Quickly.
Oh, quickly.
And gas is gonna be at $2 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if not, don't worry, you'll get used to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's not so bad to pay $5.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. What frustrates me about this, and what Rosemary and I were talking about briefly when we were plotting this out, was so there was a stabbing of two Jewish men and an Asian person in New York City the other day, and immediately, the leader, the United Jewish Federation and people on the right, and a number of Jewish leaders faulted Mamdani for the address that he gave a few days earlier, saying why they couldn't arrest, they couldn't execute the arrest warrant on Netanyahu if he comes to the United States. And everyone was saying, you got to turn, you can't use language like that. You've got to turn down the temperature. Everybody keeps saying, and so forth. And I am not in total disagreement with that idea. If let's say an Orthodox Jewish mayor in New York was railing about the visit of a Muslim leader to the United States, I think we would see it a little bit differently. Tone it down, keep the temperature down. At the same time, it just happened that I tuned in. I don't know who the fellow was. He was from London University, and he was an Arab scholar there. And he was talking about Gaza, and he was talking about and he got around to the founding of Israel, and he said there. And I thought, this is a very good analysis. That he said you can look at this one of two ways. You can look at the founding of Israel as a moment of, as an act of restorative justice for the Holocaust and the hundreds of years of anti-Semitism in Europe, and giving the Jewish people a home. You can also look at it as an act of utter injustice, the displacement of all the Palestinians who occurred. Who were displaced by this, and the crowding of people into the most crowded place on earth, which is Gaza, as well as the continuing settlement, the forced settlement, and the forced displacement that's going on. I would argue ethnic cleansing that's going on in the West Bank, and he ultimately shifted his argument ever so slightly and went with the idea that this was an historic injustice, and that we have to ignore the restorative justice. And that is, to me, the fundamental problem. I've been following this closely, well, all my life, but really closely since I've been an opinion editor, and I've watched the war play out every time something about Israel is said. It plays out on the letters to the editor page, and it's the same argument every single time. And the problem is, we want to see the world in black and white. We want to, we were talking about age before, age limits and term limits and so forth. It's a black and white issue. When you want to draw, we've got to find a way. We can't work with the nuances. We can't work with the fact that, some people 85 are really sharp and some people aren't. So let's just find a way to, simplify it. And I really think that that's what he was doing, what he was guilty of in that talk, and that this is what makes this problem so intractable, is that how do we work out the shades of gray? I think the only way to work it out is the same thing that, not to say we're right all the time, but our editorial board has argued since I've been on it, it's a two-state solution. The only way you're going to do it is to create a homeland for the people who are displaced, and a homeland in reasonable proximity to the homeland that they had, and give them autonomy, and not control their water, and not control their electricity, and not have them living under virtual martial law, and not have them living under the whim of Benjamin Netanyahu and the most conservative elements of the Israeli Knesset. And then I just throw up my hands because it's like I can't. Nobody's listening to me.
No one's doing it.
Where would it be?
I would argue that.
There are some.
I would argue that you could achieve it with a two-state solution and perhaps a link between the two, of Gaza and the West Bank. And I think that Egypt should give up some of the Sinai. To do this.
I was going to, there are some new arguments about a one-state solution as opposed to a two-state solution. And there is an author, I was going to tell you what her name is because she's really interesting, Ghada Karmi. She writes a book called One State, The Only Democratic Future for Palestine, really good book. And she doesn't go back to talk about what happened when, everybody set up when Israel was created as Israel, and about how everybody kind of capitulated to that and what happened then. But she does argue quite convincingly that a one-state solution is really the only way forward. So just to throw that out there, and how a two-state solution would never work.
How do you do that without creating something of an apartheid state, which arguably it is?
Having lived in the Middle East, most people there, in Jordan, most people there, they're all Palestinians, refugees or the descendants of refugees. They have moved from the two-state solution will never work, and it should have been, as it always should have been before, because Britain got involved in it all. Yeah, that was the real problem, was Britain got involved in it. Was one state under Arabs, under Palestinians, with rights for Israeli and Jewish settlers.
That would never happen.
I know that. I hear you, man. I hear you. But, it irritates me the most that Netanyahu never wanted a two-state solution.
No,
I think he effectively blamed the Palestinians for the failures, but he sabotaged it all the way along. He never wanted it. He's not fighting for that now. And he has gotten, because Trump is such a chump to have gone along with it, he's now destabilized the whole area. And it's way beyond Palestine. Horrible as Gaza is, terrible as that situation is, I think the whole region is in trouble right now. If you're giving nuclear weapons, or whatever the deal is going to be, as it turns out with Saudi Arabia, Iran is totally not listening and is enemies with the United States. I can't imagine a worse situation. It's never going to be solved.
No, and they're with the yellow zone now. They're packing more and more the same number of Palestinians, but they're packing them into a tighter and tighter area. And having watched enough sci-fi dystopian movies and read enough dystopian novels, and actually seen poverty and wealth in Latin America and in Africa, firsthand. This is what the Palestinians are headed for.
Right.
Is there's going to be this gorgeous resort. I mean, this is Trump and Jared's and
they'll be
a bunch of
they'll
other-
be the janitors and the maids.
Yep,
in the,
and
in
they'll
the
be living
hotels.
inland.
Yeah.
Inland in a wasteland.
Yeah. If you live in Jordan, as I say, it's a country of refugees and survivors and relatives of refugees. There are maps in every place you go. Every office, every home has a map that shows the settlements, the Jewish settlements, and the Palestinian land has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and it's been taken. And we don't know about it in this country. I never criticized the media until I began looking at coverage of the situation in Israel. We are so pro-Israel, and that's still a major political issue here in the United States. You can get into trouble if you say anything bad about Israel. Then you're anti-Semitic.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. It's anti-Semitism has been weaponized politically by the right, in particular. And you know, I've watched
Israel
I've
has
watched
done
this for
terrible
years.
things in Palestine.
Yes.
Jews will not replace us.
Right.
That's the crazy thing about this. The disconnect here is so weird. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry to move us on, but I mean, there's even more. We're not going to get to all of them, but I want to do at least two more.
I do want to.
All right, you're going to ruin this.
No, I'm not. It's just it'll end that topic on a, believe it or not, light note.
Oh my goodness.
Last night, Paula Poundstone was talking about something. I cannot remember exactly what the topic was, but she said, it's like the Holocaust. And she stopped and she goes, no, no, the Holocaust is never a good metaphor for anything.
That's true.
And the audience lost.
They laughed. They
appreciate
got
it.
that. They got that. Okay, so the last one: dead or alive? Midterm elections.
Alive. Please be alive. Please be alive.
It's gonna be on life support.
I hope.
Under attack.
Might be dramatic. Who's this new guy in Maine? Is he?
Alive but maimed.
What did-
I don't know enough about him to talk intelligently.
No,
I feel like
Well, he's a
Platt-
real salt of the earth. Apparently, we really need this in Maine. Democrats have decided the lobster man didn't work out because of kind of the sex problem. So now we have little sex issue. So now we have another working class guy, Troy.
Never mind, that was the version.
So what are his odds?
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead, the midterms. I am very worried.
Me too.
July 16th, the president gave a talk to the nation.
Full of lies and duplicity.
It was a very weird speech. I know my Facebook posting the next day was, "Are you listening to this? He's nuts."
Yeah.
And I still feel like that. It's filled with conspiracy theories and ideas about a stolen election 4 years ago. 4 years ago? 2020, he's still bitching about.
2020.
Yeah,
6 years ago.
2020,
6
yeah.
years.
6 years ago.
Stolen election.
Right, yeah, he liked that one because he won, yeah, 2020. But filled with debunked theories. He said there's declassifying information that's going to reveal the truth. And then everybody, including Fox journalists, are looking at this newly declassified information. There's nothing new in it. And it seems to me that all of that would be crazy and kind of laughable, except what a good foundation he is laying down for interfering with results he does not agree with
Which is
in
just about
November.
everything.
Yep.
Just about it.
So I'm very worried about that. And the Save Act, I hate saying that even that name is wrong. The Voter Suppression Act that he has been pushing, that he has held up bipartisan action on housing and other important measures to get through, has now passed the House. It's not dead. I do not believe it's dead yet.
Do you think it'll pass the Senate?
They say no, but I mean, they're all absolutely perfidious and who knows what they're going to do. So I am very worried about whether we'll actually have elections that matter, that count. I think that Todd Blanche's confirmation hearing showed that putting ICE agents or other armed Trump supporters into election booths, it will happen. So I think November is going to be, I don't know. Then the Hill this weekend is reporting that enthusiasm for this election among Republicans is depressed. Democrats are much more eager to get to the polls to vote than Republicans, but I'm not sure that's a win. What do you think?
You know, we were talking before about the idea that, you know, what do you do? You know, other than if you're going to do a No Kings protest, what do you do the rest of the time in the downtime? You know, what is showing up about? And my, you know, when I take a step back from it and I look at what's possible, what we're actually going to do, you got the election is really the ultimate moment for everybody. You know, whether you generate energy in the meantime for, you know, isolated specific actions, that's wonderful. But I think everything has to go into an A, get out the vote effort, and B, a defend the vote effort that pushes back at every single polling place in this country where Trump thinks that, you know, he's I mean, there's rumors that he's going to send ICE agents, he's going to send National Guard, he's going to send this, he's going to send that.
He's going to grab ballots.
I think we're going to see vigilantes. You know, thinking they can show up in in open carry states and intimidate people at the polls. You know.
Okay, here. What can we do? I think that's important. I mean, you have to vote.
Yep.
You have
Exactly.
to be brave
That
and
goes
you have to
without
vote.
saying, okay?
Well,
That goes without saying.
it's more than that because you may face vigilantes, who to me are even more scary than those thugs that are ICE agents.
We're in
at
New York,
polls.
so we're probably gonna have less of that, probably, but how do we help out other states then who are in that situation, right? Cause other states are gonna be probably in worse shape than us.
I would argue that we go to other states. I mean, I still work a little. I'm part-time. And I have made a commitment to my paper to work through at least this election. So I can't get involved in stuff like that, but my wife did in the 2016 election. My son did in the 2016 election. They went down to Georgia and they did get out the vote work. And my son's a lawyer, so he was able to do voter defense kind of things where people's votes were being challenged. People's right to vote was being challenged at the polls. And he was like, you know, kind of a triage.
Can we get some buses of people down?
And I think that's, you know, I look around this room and I look around the people that showed up. Last night at Paula Poundstone, there's a lot of retired folks out there. We have the ability to do this.
I want to give money to the ACLU. I think
We
this
have
is
a great
ultimately going to
revolution.
end up in courts. I don't think it's going to be on the day of the election.
I-
Don't use mail-in ballots because he's after them. Go to the polls.
Yep.
Right.
Contribute to the
Vote
ACLU.
early,
Especially-
that's just
Vote early, especially on day one.
Yeah,
That's
get there-
really
get there and
important,
vote.
Day one early voting.
What can he, you mentioned some things about what he might do. What will he do you think? What could he do?
I think armed federal agents at polls, at least in some places, is definite.
And he'd be having those agents check ID and do all kinds of shit.
Intimidation.
Intimidation.
Yes.
Intimidation.
Yeah.
Roles,
Now, I'm writing
people of color are
postcards.
gonna be threatened.
Yeah, I think
That's
Dee,
my-
I was gonna ask Dee to speak about it. I think the postcards work, although I hate the mealy mouth messages we write in those. Oh, I like to vote because it affects my family. Please vote and tell your friends to too. No, I wanna say, vote, our democracy depends on it or something, but we don't write those, I'll go along with it. The postcards, I think, help. I'm telling you, it's gonna be
These are postcards
lawyers.
to whom?
It's gonna be lawyers. Help the
It is
ACLU.
going to be.
Absolutely,
No,
the
no,
contrarians, ACLU.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And as far as like going place, that requires organization on the national level, which we've already discussed here, does not exist. So I don't know how to help with that. I know that,
I can make a suggestion.
yes, you may make a
So
suggestion.
there's an organization called Seed the Vote, and it's based in Oakland, California. But they, I don't know where they get their money from. I'm assuming it's probably from, I don't know, liberals in Tech Valley. But they actually send volunteers into different states that are having, significant elections. And they'll even, if you commit to like 5 days or more, they'll even pay for your transport.
Wow.
And your hotel room. I did it in Pennsylvania last year, and I know this year they're working in Texas, Pennsylvania, Arizona, trying to think of what
Ruth, say the name of the organization
Seed
again.
the Vote.
Seed the Vote.
Yeah. SEED.
Feed or seed?
The Vote. Yeah. so
Not
grow-
give up, but feed it.
You know, like grow some seeds, plant some seeds.
So are
Yes.
people door knocking? What are they
Yeah,
doing?
door knocking, yeah. Which, to be honest, I have some questions about how effective that is these days, after having done it twice, because nobody's home anymore, nobody answers the door.
Even if they are.
But, I don't know what the alternative is.
Well, phoning's definitely not the alternative.
Yeah. But it is hard to get through to people, because either they don't answer the door, or I think in some of these vicinities, they're so inundated. Like right before the election in Pennsylvania, I think so many people were, organizations were door knocking and leaving literature.
Well, I
Some
think
people stopped answering the doors.
answering
but-
doors is still better than answering phones, because I never answer my phone anymore.
And it's not like the old days where we had landlines.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you
I
don't-
still have a landline.
Oh, you do?
They call that one, and I never answer that one, never. Because I have caller ID, and there's no way, I never answer that. And that's why I don't even bother doing the phone banking anymore, for the same reason.
I have a feature on my phone that my granddaughter set up for me that if you're not in my contacts and you call me, my phone won't ring. It shows up on my recent calls. And if it's somebody that really needs me, they'll leave me a message. But my phone doesn't ring, so I don't get all those annoying calls.
Oh, nice.
We need to hear about that.
What?
We need to hear.
I don't know how to do it. My granddaughter did it.
So as far as what are we gonna do, I remember a previous salon where you both were talking about Project 2029.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that builds the fire. If we can get excited about the things we're gonna change, that might build the fire. I honestly I often get into this paralysis, like nothing's gonna work. But this, I think you guys should continue that, work.
Yeah.
Project 2029.
I know. I think about that a lot. Like
Just
reform.
remember, the unfortunate thing is that 2025 was probably started 50 years ago, okay? That's the
Yes.
problem.
Okay,
2029 is
Ignore
starting.
the poo-poo.
I do not believe that. I don't believe that, Carolyn. I think that Russell Voigt and his colleagues got together and did it in the last few years, because when they realized that they could get Trump a second term and they could really move this time if they started right off. I think it was like 4 years.
2029.
But it doesn't even matter if they had 50 years. What is our alternative to do nothing? So
I mean, and we
let's
already
start-
know so much now. Trump has
Exactly.
taught us
We can
so much about
accelerate
what is
that.
wrong and where the weaknesses are.
The thing about Project 2029 is that somehow you have to communicate that this isn't just going to be a lurch to the left. That if the American people just feel like, if the people who are supposed independents, that persuadable middle, and even the even people who are somewhat to the left, if they feel like this is just going to be a giant as radical as
No,
2025 is,
and we have so many
you don't wanna do
opportunities
that.
for that now.
I think there's a lot of reasonable stuff that can be
Pardons.
presented. Yes.
Cryptocurrency, a president who made $2 billion last year while touting, "Oh, I'm giving up my salary."
Yep.
Come on.
And forget about his family. His family
Yeah.
is addition to those $2
Yeah.
billion.
The point is, with regard to those kinds of things, we know he's doing unconstitutional things. The fact that the Department of Justice is not pursuing it,
Absolutely.
he is breaking the Constitution. There's no
Every case he
question about
loses
it.
is technically a criminal act, or at least it's a
Exactly. And
violation.
This, it's an unfortunate choice of word, this sanctuary cities. That was the wrong term to get to your point of, we have poor messaging.
Yes.
It's the Fourth Amendment. Says local police do not have to do whatever the federal government
Yes,
says.
Letitia James, who is making that point in New York
That's the
State.
Fourth Amendment.
Right.
We should have been called constitutional cities.
Yep, you're right.
Well, that would have seized the high ground. That would have been great.
Because it violates the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
And instead, asylum, yes, conjures up this picture of, you know, having
Criminals.
illegal
Yeah,
people.
criminals.
And we're criminals, and we're shielding criminals
So we need to
somehow.
change the messaging. There you go.
And it's been lost that local police are not obligated to work with federal agents per the Constitution.
Right.
That's been lost.
Again, Letitia James is making that not be law. She has brought that up again
Right,
and
for
is
New
fighting
York.
for it, for New York, yeah.
And I'm just gonna add a personal thing with
Excuse me, I need only one at a time, and this is gonna mess up our recording.
a personal thing with Washington. I mean, most of the country would not believe this, but there are no polling places.
Right.
We get mailed our ballots and we send them in. You know, and I think of my
No.
mother in Chicago who took public transportation to work, public transportation to get home. The polling places were not open. She would have had to take a day off in order to vote.
Okay, see, that's, I think that mail ballots are definitely targeted by Trump, and you are nuts, unless, I mean, there's really no alternative.
There isn't in Washington State.
Yes, there is. You take a day off from work. You
No,
make a
no,
sacrifice.
No, you
You
cannot go to a
Can't.
polling place. It's
Yeah,
all
and
in-
Washington, oh
Yeah.
yeah, Washington.
It should be a day off anyway.
But
Yeah, it
seriously,
should, yeah,
I
it should.
agree.
He's hurting his own people more than that because his people are more rural than the others. So he's hurting his own people more.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut this short because we have very little time left and do one more dead or alive, and then we're gonna end on this note. Dead or alive, ballsy journalism.
What?
Ballsy, courageous
Dead.
journalism.
Last breath.
Dying breath.
Did the correspondence dinner, White House correspondence dinner?
That was good, actually.
It was awful. He claimed that he was gonna run again in 28.
I
And
know, I
somebody
saw-
said to him, can Obama run? He went, no.
Gee.
He doesn't get to
Who's the
decide.
journalist?
He wore the hat.
Who are all the people though who listed?
Who went to that stupid thing? That was
Yeah.
never
A
a
lot
good
of people
idea.
went.
They did, I
A lot of
know.
people
But they
went.
ended up, didn't they end up listing all the awards they got for stuff that they did?
Yeah, and that was supposed to be their, oh, we're showing
But they
off
said
Trump. They
silently
gave
from his
him,
speech.
they gave him a platform.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to
Right.
talk over you.
Right.
Go
That's what I'm
ahead.
just saying, they sat silently during his speech, that's what you were saying, they let him talk.
Yeah, they said, oh, well, we're being brave because if any other organization were being threatened by Trump, we would go ahead and do it anyway. I agree, but they didn't hire a comedian. They made it different. They made it a platform for him, the man who is an avowed enemy of the press, who just the day before, until his Department of Justice stopped it, had subpoenaed reporters, which does not happen, should not happen when you have a First Amendment. And they were reporting on the lack of security in that Qatar gift the plane that he couldn't use because it wasn't safe because of his stupid actions.
Such a mundane
True, but didn't
topic.
he also dig himself another hole? I mean, he said a lot of stupid things. He said terrible jokes that landed flat.
Yeah.
When Wolf Blitzer invited up those women to have to take their award, it was a moment. It
Yep.
was a moment. He makes himself look like a jackass more than anybody else. He throws himself into the fire. So maybe, as crazy as it all is, he did do
I don't
that.
know. I feel like I hear what you're saying, Rochelle, but I keep thinking that this was all journalists trying to make it better afterwards. Like Caitlin Collins didn't say anything when asked about, oh, how did you feel when
She
he was
had to
attacking
rise
you, and he
above
was
it.
saying
She
you
had
never
to-
smile, and she didn't say anything. I'm sorry. What does that do for journalism? Why didn't you say you're a horse's ass?
She was thinking it, and I'm sure her eyes said it, but she's scared
Yes,
too.
it's smiley.
I would be scared. Her life. This is a mob boss guy. She did the respectful thing to take care of herself. And what about that young woman?
Why
that
was she
also-
there? Why did she go?
She deserved that honor.
Yeah.
She deserved to say that she earned it. And what about that a young woman who said her family had been threatened?
Yeah.
She was there and she stood on the same stage as him. That took huevos. I give her a lot of credit for doing what she did. It took a lot of huevos. Huevos, eggs. It took her a lot of guts to stand on that stage with him because she didn't know if that night someone would be following her car all the way home. That's what we have in that White House. He's dangerous.
And they subjected Donald Trump to a night of letting him try to do a rally, and everybody just, basically, a couple of polite chuckles when my wife told me one joke he told that was funny, and I laughed, and she was like, I was like, no, that's funny. He said that the cow was provided by Robert Kennedy Jr. from Roadkill. Something
That's
to that
pretty
effect.
funny, yeah.
That is damn funny. That's actually self-effacing. But other than that, I thought, he just met a room full of stone-faced
So
journalists.
vote. Who thought it was a good idea to do this?
I'm proud of the
I
people
think it was
that
fine.
earned their awards.
Really?
I
hate it.
disinviting him would have been great.
Give them
But if you're not, I think they made the best of it.
Didn't he invite
I don't
himself?
see the need for this whole event. And this predates Trump. I thought
Didn't
it
he
was.
invite himself though? Was he
Yeah,
invited?
how it is.
He invited himself.
Yeah.
I believe that he said he wouldn't come. He wasn't going to sit there and be roasted.
Oh, well,
And so there was a comedian they
That one.
hired and then disinvited her.
And they had a
Amber,
magician.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. I think that was a bad call.
And the magician could have wished him away.
Made him disappear in those swords.
He's not a very good
They
magician.
could have made him disappear.
I don't know. I don't think it was journalism's finest moment.
Maybe not the finest moment, but maybe in a
I
little
think
way.
journalists are starting to
That
chicken out.
Caitlin, she
over
stood
and
up
over
to him.
and over.
I give her
And they're
credit.
not going for the big stories.
Didn't she come up, just read something about, that Caitlin Collins came and did some little Budweiser's thing afterwards or something that because she was.
No, afterwards they wanted her comment. She refused to comment.
No, but I think I saw something that had a thing with her with the Budweiser thing, because he made a thing about.
Yeah, he was calling her a trans man.
Yeah. So she took that and ran with it on something. I think I saw a meme or something about that with her with Budweiser.
I don't know. I wish she weren't even there all dressed up for him. And
She wasn't dressed up for him. She wasn't dressed.
what was she
up
dressed up for?
Right.
What was she dressed up for?
herself.
To take
Oh,
her
come
honor. She earned her writing. She did a great job.
I never even heard of those honors.
Oh, smile.
Did you?
Would you?
Did you ever hear the White
I
House
was-
Correspondents
it's not-
Association? The White House Corps has always been this group of elite journalists who sit and wait to be fed information from the White House. They do not do the reporting. They did not do Watergate. They did not do the Pentagon Papers. They never did. The investigative reporters should have been getting those awards.
That's right.
Well,
They were not there,
The
except
folks
although
at
the
the,
Wall Street
I think
Journal
the
was.
folks at the Times who broke the
Yeah, and
broke the
the
story on the
the
plane,
security.
and then the Times won the lawsuit, and they came
And-
back with 2 more stories.
Right, and the Wall Street Journal too.
Yeah.
With the Epstein
And those
the
are
birthday
those,
card.
I believe they're members of the Correspondents Association.
No, I don't know.
And does Murdoch own the Wall Street Journal?
Murdoch owns the
He
Wall
owns
Street
it.
Journal.
He already does,
Another great friend of democracy.
but he is not
We need to
destroyed it.
And it's not because I'm losing the argument. We have to end this now. Thank you so much. You were a great audience. This was really fun.